My name is Joti. I founded Duniya Dance and Drum Company in 2007, so this is our 15-year anniversary. We do both dance and music from South Asia, primarily Punjabi dance and music, as well as dance and music from Guinea, West Africa, where my co-artistic director is from. The project I'm working on is called Ghadar Geet, Blood and Ink. And it's a project that explores the story of my great-grandfather, Bhagwan Singh Gyani, who was involved with and at one time the president of the Ghadar Party, which was based here in the Bay Area, a unification of intellectuals and farm workers. A lot of the members were Punjabi, fighting for India's independence from the British from North America. The performance tells a story in a really non-linear fashion and really intertwines our contemporary struggles and, you know, the ways in which we're still fighting colonization. In the performance, we're recontextualizing Punjabi folk dance and music to tell this story about my great-grandfather's history in the Ghadar Party. The way the performance tells the story is interweaving some of my great-grandfather's poetry. So one of the things that he did was to write this poetry, really trying to get people to join this movement. This was in the early 1900s, well before India gained independence, well before Gandhi started uniting the country around this idea of independence. So some of the performance is really guided by his poetry, some of which I'm working with a singer, Ishmeet Narula, really talented, amazing, incredible Punjabi singer, to create songs out of his poetry. And I'm also writing my own poetry that sort of interweaves in and out of the performance. And one of the really exciting things for me in doing this project, I really am creating a dance vocabulary because Bhangra is traditionally a very celebratory dance. And while there's some celebration that happens in the piece, I'm taking the traditional Punjabi movement and splicing or mixing or melting together with the other kind of dance movements that are in my body. I've been studying dance from Guinea since 1998, and it just became something I fell in love with, and I traveled to Guinea many, many times to study with master teachers, and the movement is something I feel like is so much in my body at this point that when I'm choreographing even my Punjabi, folk dances, there's kind of this way in which my body has its own language that it's adapted from all the different influences in my dance life.
My name is Tiamike Tisarane, and I've been dancing with Duniya for about 2 years. Being like one of the youngest ones in Duniya, it's kind of felt given me a community, I think. Like the kind of community that I want to create, at least for myself, as I'm growing and just like as I move through life. I think everybody kind of comes together, and when we're all dancing, it's kind of like the outside world is kind of just on pause for a little bit. So it's like good to find people that are also in the same mindset as me.
Hi, my name is Jessica Pfister, and I've been with Duniya for 9 years. One thing I really like about this show, it's a different type of expression than just performing choreography, which I've been doing for a long time. This is more choreography with a story behind it. And I think the movement too is different. It's very unique, it's very Joti. A lot of the transitions that she does between moves are very unique, they're unexpected. It can make them very challenging for us as dancers, but it's also really fun. So far, the way that I have related has been more about being a queer person and what that means, and how, I live somewhere where it's pretty okay here in the Bay Area, but it's not in many places, and there are people who are hiding their true selves, and I think that relates a lot to this, having to run and hide theme that we have in this current version of the show.
My name is Riddhi Kapoor. I have been with Duniya for over 2 years now. This show is definitely something which is a learning experience for me, connecting me back to my roots. It is not what you read in books, but it's a real story, and to hear it, I think that's what makes it different to me, and that's how I kind of connect it to the history. The whole storyline will definitely remind me of ancestors. Hopefully there should be some of my ancestors too who would have done this, and then this would be like an ode to them as well. I like all the movements in the dance so far, but I think the one which I really connect to is the Bhangra piece of it, because Bhangra is super close to my heart, and just coming from Punjab myself and kind of learning it back in the US.
This story is about colonization. I am in many ways the product of that. What my great-grandfather is fighting for and talking about is the British rule over India. I wouldn't be here in this country if that hadn't happened. Where we are now, this legacy of colonization, me mixing these forms together to tell this story, makes a lot of sense to me. I think the driving force is really the process that we're going through to create this piece, getting this story out there, getting, away from this idea of elitism in dance, and just really how dance is about community, and it's about our stories, and it should be accessible to anybody. Being able to go through a process and not have everything tied into the final product and is in and of itself a revolution, I feel like. So how do I embody the values of what this show is about in the process of creating the show? Embrace the risk-taking, the vulnerability of it. I'm definitely letting myself be really vulnerable through this process. Right? We have to lead our lives in such a way that we are fighting against the colonial machine, the capitalist machine. And I think that, the people I want to see this show are people who care to think more deeply about that, who already know this, who are already, doing beyond anything I'm doing to address it. And also people who might be, I am pretty complacent. I am just going to work every day, doing my thing, playing into these systems that are oppressive to other people. And how do we, how do I connect to this history? And how do I use this connection? How do I find my own connection, to create change, to find a springboard and inspiration where then I want to be a change maker.